to Kohima. We reached yesterday, and this morning, we are here to to gather together for a little remembrance. Thank you to those who are here from Kohima and have joined. Thank you to the media for coming and joining us as well.
Serenio Mevi is composed by R. Kevichisa, son of A. Kevichisa, who is a recipient of MBE member of British Empire during the Battle of Kohima. This song reflects an Angami Naga village context where a little boy, along with his younger siblings, awaits the return of his parents from the distant fields. When the parents are unusually late in returning home, the boy fears the worst of them and believes that they have turned into fireflies, now treading the paths of the spirits. The last verse is a traditional farewell to the departed spirits, telling them not to be lonely or fearful in the land of the dead.
Against tyranny, and in particular to remember those brave people who gave up their lives so that the rest of us could live in freedom. Many of us here have a family connection with the Burma campaign. I understand there's a party from Australia who I'll hope to meet later. And it was a great privilege to travel to Chesney recently and to have a tour of the battlefield there, and then to follow the footsteps of the 1st Assam Rifles as they withdrew to join the battle at Kohima. They were led by Colonel Bruno Brown, and I would like to thank his granddaughter Charlotte Carty for giving us a tremendous experience, one which we will never forget. And I think that in order to understand the Burma campaign, you really do have to know a bit about the terrain and the climate. And until you actually get there, see the hills, see the forests in general, I think it's very hard to imagine the difficulties that the 14th Army had in maintaining a 400-mile front and a supply line stretching back over 700 miles. And when you see what they had to put up with, realise quite how strong they were. Now, why was Kohima, and indeed his father, and indeed the Burma campaign, so important? And why does it receive so little coverage compared to other theatres of war? The Burma campaign was the longest and largest British-led campaign in the Second World War. It started at the end of 1941. At its peak, it contained 1.3 million Allied personnel, and it ended in August 1945. If Japan had prevailed at Kohima, the supply road to Imphal would remain closed. The huge supply depot at Dimapur would have been captured, and that would have left 14th Army with a real problem, stranded and facing potential defeat. It would have also left the Japanese in a position to continue their invasion of India, where they would have taken control of its substantial manufacturing capacity. Who knows, as time progressed, they might have even have considered going further west to the oil fields in the Middle East. And that would have presented quite a problem for the energy supplies needed in the European theatre. The
granted because it's just a part of our life. When people come to visit, when we have guests who come, we bring them here and they get to see it. For those who are connected to the place, it is a very emotional time for them. For those who don't have any connection, it is still emotional for them because they come and see the sacrifices that thousands of people all over the world give up their lives in order to have freedom. And our people here did their bit by sacrificing in whatever way they can. And today, we're very happy that the next generation of the people who sacrificed their lives or who participated in this part of the world are here as well. When you go back home, just as it says that down there in the monolith there, I hope you will tell them, go back home and tell the people out there, not only about the sacrifice here, but about our people and what we did as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Indie Congo. Yes.
Done? My thing is done.
Where are you going to today?
Dimapur.
Okay. All right. I'll see you in a few days' time.
So Farooq is already here.
No service. Lovely. I have to say, being I like colours. I think that's a particularly nice.
I would go under the shade. You go to the shade, you haven't got a hat on.
No, ours are over there. We're just grabbing.
Is that going?
Thank you, Billy.
Wait on.
Oh, it's been a journey of discovery the entire way. The more I look at the research, the paperwork, you find more letters, you find more documents, and what the people did here is extraordinary. And one of the things I think that stands out most was the support that the Nagas gave to the Allies. And there's a story from the withdrawal, which we've just been recreating with the walk, where some of the soldiers weren't able to make it back to Kohima. They were too ill, or they got caught, or they had to find different routes and ended up in Dimapur themselves. But some were saved by the Nagas. And there's a lovely recollection from one Assam regiment gentleman who said he was tired and he was ill, and he woke up in a bed in a Naga house, and on the pillow was written "Home Sweet Home." And so all these little stories remind you how personal these were. These were not ordinary men, and yet they were just like you and I, undertaking extreme hardship. Incredible. Well, my grandfather, he survived the Battle of Kohima, but unfortunately he was killed later in the war, and so he never came home. So my mother, at a young age, was left without her father, so it impacted her life significantly. My mother was incredibly proud of her father, and she passed that on to me, my brother and my sister, and we remember him and his men all the time, but particularly around the commemorations of the Kohima battle, and in England the November the 11th commemorations. I have been trying to make sure that the next generation have the similar ability, to have the knowledge and understanding, so that they can give proper remembrance and give proper thanks for all that happened here. And so my three children came here to the walk and to see the battlegrounds and see the commemorations and hear more themselves from people involved, the descendants of those involved, more about the battle and what happened here.
On that note, the Battle of Kohima is also known as the Forgotten Battle. And why do you think it needs the global attention?
I think it's an extraordinary story on many levels. It was a very important battle for the Second World War from the Allies' point of view. It's been seen as the turning point of this battle in the Far East. From this point on, the Japanese Imperial Army did not win another battle on land. It was the first time the Japanese had been defeated. It proved that they could be defeated. I think helped morale within the armies that were battling for the Allies. But also, just on the personal level, it was such a ferocious battle. It's important to remember how these men who were fighting here, how could they have done it? When you read the stories, it seems incredible to us today that people had to live like this. And hopefully we learn the lessons from the past, and we don't end up doing the same things, repeating history in a bad way. We need to make sure that in the future we learn those